coolest, most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000 or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the Tax Doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared pioneered in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Good Monday morning to you all. It is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. Well, here it is this Monday morning, Monday, February the 22nd, in the year of our Lord 2016. The call-in number is 603-835-3224, 603-835-3224. I am sure many of you are ecstatic from the weekend. Now, a couple of things here. Trump just crushed it. And, you know, there was this poll out there that had Cruz in the lead. And I think somebody actually called here about that. And I don't even, that's the only poll. It's an outlier. Because there were every other poll basically out there was saying that nobody was even close to Trump. And even, when it came down to it, the polls really don't matter at all. They don't, because they're put forth by these people that have an agenda. Each and every one of them. Each one of the polling companies has an agenda. Now, you can be ecstatic, or you can be sad, or you can be very disappointed about the outcome of South Carolina. But here's the deal. Trump is not going anywhere. And it is looking more and more every day like he could very well be. Let me give you a little clue to you Cruzites. You Cruz people out there, let me tell you something. Part of this whole notion of Trump being so popular is partly on your heads. It's partly your fault. And I've been warning you about this. And now that there are stories appearing about this, I have been warning you and warning you and warning you. And you have not been listening. And there are stories coming out about this. You Cruz people who are so adamant that Cruz is the only person who can do this or do that. And you have been turning off supporters of Cruz left and right. Now, these people are coming out of the woodwork. I mean, we got another record turnout out there. Another record turnout. And these people are being turned off by you Cruz support. I'm telling you the damn truth here. You better start paying attention. Because you're turning off potential voters, potential supporters for Ted Cruz. And people are saying how nasty, how rude, how crude, how idiotic that some of you are out there. And I got to tell you, I'm sorry, but people like Mark Levin and Glenn Beck, they're not doing Ted Cruz any favors. They're not. And look, obviously, I have been neutral this whole time, but I got to tell you, this is something that I can't stay neutral on. Because if you want this man to be the nominee, you're going to have to turn things around. And you are going to have, I mean, this whole notion, coming out and saying, well, if Donald Trump is the nominee, I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. What kind of nonsense is that? Your listeners and your support and those potential supporters out there are hearing this kind of nonsense and just think, well, what's wrong with, they're not saying what's wrong with Trump. They're asking in this day and age, what's right with Trump? That you're so afraid of him. And every time one of you super people or one of you supporters on Facebook or and I get this all the time on Facebook especially, you Cruz people attack me for no reason whatsoever. Even when I am complimenting Cruz, you don't think it's a compliment good enough. And I think to myself, what the hell is going on here? And this is continued all weekend. I mean, you get to the South Carolina primary, Trump obviously crushes it. It's a record level turnout, which means for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda that more people than ever before recorded turned out to vote. I mean, this is. I don't know why you guys are you know. I get that some of you think that this is highly personal. And frankly, it's not. Okay? It's really not. And let me tell you why it's not. Because the candidates don't know you. They don't know you personally. They probably couldn't even pick you out of a lineup. This is how impersonal it is. And you're making it even more impersonal when you go ahead and attack people that you do not even know for what you perceive their choice to be. Now, you can say, well, Rod, you're doing the same thing against liberals. And no, that's a different story. When I'm talking about you are attacking, somebody says something nice about Donald Trump, and you go off and think that, oh, they're a Trump supporter. They say something nice about Rubio, and you go off on them thinking that they're a Rubio supporter. Now, I gotta ask you, I don't know. And look, it seems to me that some of the Trump people have figured this out and they've shut up, or at least they've toned down their anti-whoever rhetoric, because we've got this huge rivalry between Trumpsters and Cruzettes, and Cruisers. But it seems like that the Trumpsters have backed off a little bit, because I used to find it amusing that if I said something nice about Cruz, the Trumpsters would take a dig at me. And if I said something nice about Trump, the Cruisers would take a dig at me. And I kind of marveled at how I could be supporting both of them. One, when I said I'm not determining, I haven't even made my choice yet. And I would not reveal that on the air anyway after I did. But you all on both sides have accused me of being an ultra supporter for one or the other. Now, I don't know how I can be an ultra supporter for both. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out. But I'm telling you, the anti-rhetoric that you people have been putting out there turns people off to your candidate of choice. It does. And I think it got really nasty in South Carolina, and I think that you people, you cruisers, have better reevaluate heading into Super Tuesday, or what your worst nightmare is going to come to pass. Donald Trump as a GOP nominee. And I don't, this is not about name calling. This is not about accusing people of not paying attention and not knowing the facts. Because trust me, if you're on the GOP side, you fully understand what's going on. You know what's going on. And if you're on the Democratic side, you know what's going on over there. Now, just like the Democratic side and the GOP side, you're going to have to hold your nose about some of the things of the candidate of your choice. There are going to be lots of things you don't like about. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot more to dislike over on the Democratic side, but at the same time, there's no perfect candidate. As I have mentioned before, you're supposed to look at somebody and choose a particular candidate that you agree with at least 80% of the time. They mirror your wants, your desires, your beliefs 80% or more of the time. And I've reiterated time and time again that there isn't a single candidate in the race today that agrees with me or I agree with them 80% or more of the time. I had to come up with somebody who was only 70% of the time. And some of you are like, well, wait a minute. Don't you agree with Cruz? No, I do not agree with Cruz 80% of the time or better. And I've explained my issues with each and every candidate. But I'm not a one-issue person. Many of you people out there seem to be a one- or two-issue candidate supporter. Why? Well, Rod, he's got to be about the Constitution. Really? That's it? Granted, if we had a government that was more constitutional, we wouldn't have half the problems that we're having. I get that. But what exactly does that mean? Are you forgetting that Cruz has got a record in the Senate that has not been what some would construe as 100% originalist constitutionalist? He's not. And you got to ask the question, well, how is that going to work? If he's elected president on day one, he writes an executive order rescinding all executive orders. Is that not a problem in and of itself? And why hasn't he been more active against Barack Obama executive orders? As a senator, he can put forth bills and propose bills on every one of the president's executive orders. Did he do that? No, he did not. And there are some people that are accusing him of lying big time. Well, you know what? I'm not going to fault Ted Cruz for being a liar, because if you're in politics, you probably lied to get there, where you are. We don't have any George Washingtons right now. We don't. But let me ask you this. For those people who are accusing Cruz of being a liar, are you not being a big-ass hypocrite? Yes, you are. And if you think that's in defense of Cruz telling lies, no, I'm not. But I'm telling you, Jesus said the most beautiful thing. How can you take the splinter out of your neighbor or your friend's eye when you've got a plank stuck in your own? In other words, you can't be out there running around accusing Cruz of. I think the funniest thing is you've got Rubio people out there calling Cruz a liar especially when it comes to Ben Carson. When the plain fact is, the proof is that the Rubio camp started spreading that stuff about Carson dropping out of the race first. Cruz picked up on it from the Rubio camp. But you want to call Rubio out for what he did when it was, or you want to call Cruz out for what he did when it was Rubio who started it. Now, I'm not saying the candidates themselves, but their camps, okay? They're supporters. And there are people that are trying to make excuses about why it was Cruz's fault when Rubio was the one to start it. Like, you got to be kidding me. Sure, you can blame Cruz for what he's really at fault for, but why are you going after him for something that he's not responsible for? He didn't start it. But the worst part about it isn't the fact that Rubio started the rumor that Carson was going to be backing out of the race after Iowa. The worst part about it is that Cruzsters, all you cruisers, started lashing out at everybody who brought it up. You turned off a lot. This is, in my theory, this is why Cruz is getting the blame. Because you Cruz supporters were so venomous in your response that it turned off people. And I'm telling you right now, it's happening again with the South Carolina vote. Cruz lost. He lost. So you better understand that your choice of diction, in other words, how you are approaching other people who have not made up their mind yet, or who are on the fence, or who could be swayed away from another candidate to support yours, you're not helping your cause any by being and acting the way you are. Plain and simple. I don't know how else to tell you that. I mean, this is just one of those things that you gotta. You know what? Look, I get it. People are hard-headed. They do not want to listen. It happens. I mean, we've all got members of our own families, or are members in our close circle of friends who are hard-headed that just don't listen. And then they wonder why things turn out the way they do in a negative sense. And even some of them want to blame you, do they not? And this is not just an American phenomenon, by the way. This is just a human trait for some reason. I don't know why. But you got people that just won't listen. And when they don't listen, they do themselves and the people that they support and love and say that they support and say that they love more damage. And I think right now, what you're not going to find this in any survey or poll about the damage that supporters can do. But I'm telling you, just looking around, listening to people, taking it all in. And yeah, this is purely anecdotal from my own personal experience, but I got to tell you, this is not just my personal experience. This is what a lot of people are saying out there. And if I'm looking at a microcosm of as compared to the entire voter pie, and this is, you know, that when one person says something, the proven stats are 10 to 15 other people are being silent but are experiencing the same thing. They just don't want to complain. You know, so the whole complaint thing. If you corporations and stuff, they understand the complaint ratio. You know, if they have 10,000 customers, and say 10 people or less than 10 people complain about something. The corporation, pretty much says, well, we got 10,000 customers, less than 10% complain. That's not a big issue. But if they've got 10,000 customers and say 100 people complain, they're looking at it and understanding it's not that 100 people that's the problem. It's probably another 900 people or 1,000 people. That is their problem. They understand the ratios, and they know they've got a major problem. So if you're looking at all these people out there who are complaining about you Cruz supporters, not Ted Cruz, but you Cruz supporters, then you better understand, as corporations understand, that it is a tremendous amount of people who are complaining, even if it's silently to themselves. They're upset, and you're turning them off, and that translates into millions of potential supporters. I'm telling you right now, you have probably shifted the balance of support from Cruz to Trump by more than just a few points. And I gotta, one of the things I'm out there and I'm listening, I'm seeing this stuff. Trust me, this stuff is really, really bad when it comes to people like Beck and Levin. I'm just shocked at Levin, actually. I've heard a couple of Levin's shows recently. I'm just shocked. This is not normal for him. Well, I don't listen to him very often, so maybe it is normal for him. I don't know. 916, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got?
Go Trump.
Well, yeah, we can say go Trump. He did it, evidently. But I'm a little bit more than Beck. I don't understand him anyway. Glenn has lost it in my book. Glenn lost it a long time ago. I don't know where he's going as of late with his stuff, but it is what it is for the Baxter. Is that what you call him? Baxter, Glenn Beck. I'm just really not a Glenn Beck fan. I guess I never really have been. But I know some people are out there. Good. I'm not a huge Glenn Beck fan. I don't listen to a lot of Mark Levin. I understand Mark Levin is in the top 5 of talk shows, and he's going to be doing. I don't know exactly how he's pulling it off, but Levin is doing something called Levin TV. He's following in the footsteps of Beck, I guess, Glenn Beck, and going to have some. I think it's going to be internet TV. He's not doing a Rush Limbaugh style show on network, but he's I don't know. But looking at the number of syndicated stations and the amount of audience, by and large, the two, number one, number two, by and large, there is no question who number one and who number two is. Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity. Just at the sheer volume of stations and listeners that they have, they are way out ahead of anybody else. And you'd be hard pressed. I know people are trying. They try to pin Rush as being as a cruiser. I listen to Rush almost every day, and I didn't hear it. Maybe he does like Cruz, but he's not. Look, there are people accusing him of being a Trump supporter because he was talking about Trump so much. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, just because you talk about somebody does not mean you support them. Just because you say something positive about somebody doesn't mean you support them. Just because you say something negative about somebody doesn't mean that you loathe them, you dislike them, or you're not supporting them. People got to stop trying to read into stuff so much because you don't know. Look, Rush always, says that he's a highly trained broadcast specialist, but there's something to be said about what he says about that because a true broadcast specialist isn't going to jump the gun on every little thing, and this is what a lot of people are doing. They're just jumping the gun. And the people that I find that are jumping the gun the most, well, yeah, see, you're probably going to think that I'm a Trump supporter when I say this, but it's cruise people. At least when it comes to my own personal experience, it's cruise people. Stop jumping the gun.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
it's gonna be alright.
You can find Friends Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
603-835-3224. Welcome back to the Rod Eccles Show. That's what you are listening to currently. Let me ask you to do a favor for me if you haven't already done so, and if you have, I do thank you. If you have not passed on this program to two people, then I would humbly ask that you turn on two people to this program. Just two people. And, they'll turn on two people who will turn on two people and so on and so forth. Just turn on two people to the program. That's all. Just to build listeners. That's the whole point. What good is it if only a few of you listen? And obviously, thank you very much for listening, because the numbers are starting to go through the roof. But let's keep that kind of trend going. Let's get the truth out there. Let's get logic out there so we can stop with a lot of this nonsense. And speaking of nonsense, something I just came across. I was just sent this story, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? I look, usually during the weekend, I go into a semi-hibernation format. I don't watch a lot of news, and I don't watch a lot of I don't do a lot of online stuff. I don't frequent Facebook very often and Twitter and stuff like that, because it's the weekend. I got other interests. But I got something sent to me that came out over the weekend. I'm like, what the heck is this? And it's about a news story from World News Daily. I don't know who World News Daily is. It's not WND, World Net Daily. It's World News Daily. I don't know. That doesn't ring a bell with me as far as, legit news sites. But there is a story, I guess, that has originated from World News Daily about they recently found a German submarine at the bottom of Lake Ontario. Now, I totally missed that story. I didn't hear that story. I don't know if that story is where that story came from. But evidently, other people have already done the due diligence of the story and found it to be a hoax. And I guess, so it leads me to the fact that there's a bunch of hoax stories going on out there, and I don't know why people want to try to make up and pass something off as real. Now there are stories that, The Onion is a satire site, and obviously everybody knows that the stories that come off The Onion are not real. But the problem is that there are some people that do believe that, because they'll see it not on The Onion, but they'll see it someplace else and think that it's real. But there are a lot of stories out there that get confused with real, legit stories. And I don't know why people want to try to mislead others that way. What good is it telling people that there was a Nazi U-boat found in Lake Ontario? Because it means that, the Nazis came into the Great Lakes, and, if they can get through, then anybody can get through, and blah, blah, blah. But I tell you, there was even a hoax story out there about a new vaccine from Iran that supposedly cured homosexuality and pedophilia. Fake. I guess the story about a teen being beaten and robbed for his white Vans. I don't know what I guess they're a shoe. Fake. I guess there was a story out there about a 400-pound woman who claimed to be assaulted by a herd of manatees. Fake, hoax. I guess there were some rumors out there or stories out there that said Caitlyn Jenner wanted to be called Bruce again. Evidently, hoax, fake. Did you hear the story that Will and Jada Pinkett Smith bought BET for $600 million? Now, if that's the case, then I think that would be a bargain price for BET. But I guess that's a hoax too. Well, a bunch of fake stuff out there. I mean, well, and the latest story, I guess, is that a big story that was going around in the music industry was, now I did catch wind of this, but for whatever reason, it didn't pick my interest because I didn't believe it, and evidently this is also a hoax. So my instincts were right that it was not a real story. But there was a story out there that was saying that P. Diddy's Ciroc Apple vodka, he's got this super premium, I think Ciroc is a vodka, but his Ciroc Apple flavored vodka was not recalled after all because there was no proof of said consumer testing that found the bottles positive for cocaine. In other words, they were being recalled because somehow Coke, and not Coca-Cola, got into Ciroc Apple, but that's also fake, a hoax. That somebody doesn't like Diddy's Ciroc, I guess. I've never had it. I know there's a lot of these. What's his Dan Ghostbusters? Dan, what's his face? Oh, I can't think of his last name. Anyway, he's got a premium vodka. It comes in the bottle is in the shape of a crystal skull. When I was he was a few years ago when he was launching it, he came to Boston, and he was in Boston for a few days, and he was doing the club promotion thing, and I was at a couple of clubs being a bouncer, security personnel at a couple of the clubs that he came into. And he was promoting. He did a little show and everything, and nice guy, Dan Aykroyd. There we go. Very nice guy. I actually shook his hand. Very nice guy. But he does have, as far as him being a nice guy, there is that air of arrogance, that he's a great entertainer. Yeah, but I guess that's par for the course, no big deal. But I didn't think anything of it. He just basically looked at me and another security person that was with me. He goes, "You're going to keep me safe tonight, right?" I said, "Yes, sir. We'll do our best." And he goes, "Well, don't." And then he says, "Well, don't be too worried about safety that you miss the show." Okay. Regular guy. Just comes across as a regular guy. But he now has this, premium vodka. And it's one of the new it things, I guess. If you're there's a lot of entertainers that have these, these premium and super premium alcoholic beverages, mostly vodka right now. There's even a TV show. What is it? I think it's on Discovery Channel about this small vodka distillery in Alaska, and how they take all kinds of different things by people's requests to make flavored vodkas, premium flavored vodkas. I think this is like insane. Who goes through all of this just for freaking vodka? But okay. So you got all these people out there who are making premium vodkas now. So they're all vying for shelf space on the various liquor shelves of liquor stores and grocers and package stores all across the country. How do you get space? Well, there's a couple of big ways to get space. One is you pay for it. But you're going to pay a certain amount, what they call a slotting fee. You have to pay a certain amount of money for it to open up a slot for them to put your product. The problem is that is that if you've already got bigger competitors, they're not going to want another competitor coming in to try to take market share away from them. So they're going to freeze them out. They're going to tell the liquor store or package store owner, the shelf space owner, they're going to tell them, well, you know what? We're going to come out with another brand or another flavor, and we need that spot. And they'll outbid the person trying to put in their super premium. So there's no shelf space. The other way is that you put out these hoax stories about your competition, and you claim that there's something awful or bad about it, and the product stops selling, and thereby, if the product isn't selling and turning over, the shelf space owner obviously wants to make a profit. He's going to remove the item that isn't selling. He's going to send it back to the manufacturer, and he's going to fill that spot or that slot with something that is selling. So it's brutal out there when it comes to this kind of stuff. And it's not just with vodka. Hey, I'm sure many of you probably remember a few years ago the British Airways and Virgin Atlantic Airways with Richard Branson battle and feud. And I think Branson came on top of that one when British Airways tried to crush Virgin Atlantic and Virgin American. Didn't work. They came close to succeeding, however, but in the end it didn't work. And with that said, I guess I can bring this full circle and say that you people who are trying to discredit Donald Trump the way you are, it isn't working. People have been doing this since time memoriam. Sometimes it works, yes, and sometimes it works all the way where you actually remove your competition, but that's rare. Sometimes it works to give you an unfair advantage, as it were, to get ahead. But most of the time, in the end, such diabolical activities backfire and do not work. British Airways, look, what they try to do to Richard Branson's Virgin Airways backfired. Not only did Richard Branson sue them and win, like over $1 billion award for this, but it put Virgin Atlantic and Virgin America on the path to being a profitable and well-known branded airline. Now, he started with one jet, but was it one jet? I think it was one jet. He started with one 747, or maybe it was two. One or two 747s, and his only route was London to Newark. And the problem with British Airways is they couldn't come up with a better product or service. They had to try to smear Virgin Atlantic or Virgin Airways, and that gave Branson ideas to come up with so many different publicity stunts that pretty soon everybody knew who Virgin Airways was, and they wanted to give it a shot. And he started, buying and leasing jets and opening up markets across the Atlantic like you would not believe. And then after that lawsuit was settled and it ended, and British Airways was found guilty of slandering Virgin Atlantic, all bets were off. He struggled to get his airline off the ground. And if British Airways had not done what it did, it probably would have failed. But it backfired. And now British Airways has a permanent major competitor and thorn in its side in the form of British Airways. And you folks who are trying to do that to Donald Trump, it's backfiring. I'm telling you, your attacks on Trump are backfire. I don't know why you people still try to do this. You've been doing it since when? May or June? When he got in the race? Everybody's been attacking Trump, and his numbers have steadily gone up, and up. Every time somebody attacked him, whether it be the media or another candidate, what happened to his numbers? Did they dip at all? No, they didn't. They went up. When are you people going to learn? When are you going? Whatever you hit Trump with is going to backfire on you. And if this whole the whole South Carolina primary is not proof of that, then there's nothing I can do to help you. I'm trying to help you. Some people say, well, I thought you supported Trump. No, I never said I supported Trump, but I'm trying to be fair and honest and trying to help you. But you know what? It's not working because you're not paying attention and you're not listening. And that's fine, but you're doing it at your own peril. That's all I'm telling you. Trump is Trump is Trump. Trump is Trump. We'll be back. Oh, I guess we're a little early on that, aren't we? In any case, well, we won't be that early again. I don't know. What was I thinking? Moving on. I can't even pronounce that. Suxervative? A man of the left hiding in the right. Are you people claiming that? Are you claiming that Rubio is a liberal? I don't know. Well, actually, it says yes. He is. He is a cuckservative. Cuckservative. A man of the left hiding in the right, and there it's. Rubio calls Trump supporters white trash. Well, I don't know if this is a negative story against Rubio or if it's a story telling of what Rubio is calling Trump people, but yeah, I guess people just are not going to be on the listening mode when it comes to this stuff. And hey, who the hell am I? Why should they listen? I'm only right, but why listen to people who are right? Just go on and do what you want to do, and then once you fail at it, and then you come back and say, well, I should have did this, and I say, well, I told you to do that to begin with, but you weren't paying attention because I don't know, I'm not some six-figure political consultant. Might I ask all the wonderful why would you hire somebody, a political consultant, that lost the last few elections that they ran? I mean, why are we supposed to listen to all the wonderful pundits on the right when they're supporting or telling us to support or running campaigns that have lost? And I guess what we got here, speaking of losing, I guess Jeb Bush dropped out. Shocked the hell out of me. Got to tell you, I was a little surprised by that. So Jeb Bush drops out of the race because Trump really crushed it. And it is what it is. I didn't think that it was. I just didn't think he was going to do it. I thought he was going to hang on through Super Tuesday. Because let's face it, I mean, look, I think what you probably got is maybe somebody in the blue blood GOP said, look, Jeb, man, you didn't do too well down there in Carolina, man. Didn't do too well in Carolina, son, only like 7%. You got to get out of the race so all your supporters can go over Rubio. We can't let this Trump guy win, you hear? So we got to get your supporters to go over to Rubio. Because Rubio ain't coming over to your camp. So you got a bolt, man. You ain't got no chance. We get it. We spent millions and well, I think there's the inside the Beltway GOPers have spent over $200 million so far in the campaigns, And those outliers, Trump, Cruz, and to some extent Rubio, have collectively spent way less than $100 million. I mean, it didn't even come close. What? Trump spent like $3 million in New Hampshire, and Cruz spent less than $1 million, like $500,000. So the money isn't buying. I know this whole thing. We got to get the money out of politics. Money out of politics. Everybody's constantly saying, Citizens United, money out of politics. Well, here's the problem. There's a lot of money that's being spent, but so far on both sides, money isn't getting what they paid for. Clinton has outspent Bernie Sanders, but she barely squeaked by in Nevada. And look, she was going to squeak by in Nevada anyway because the DNC, Democratic Congress, wasn't going to allow Sanders to really win. I mean, think about it. He wins New Hampshire. Hillary gets the same amount of delegates as he does. I mean, he crushed it in New Hampshire. How is that possible? I mean, in Iowa, we know that there was coin flipping going on to decide, what caucus house went to whom. And they all seem to go to Hillary. Look, on the Democratic side, the fix is in. It's in for Hillary because they can't have Bernie, and they will do anything they possibly can to turn Bernie out. So, but look, the insiders are spending all kinds of money, and they're not getting a return. They're not getting very much bang for their buck. So this notion that we need to get the money out of politics is a red herring, and it's BS, and it's already proving so. All the money is going after is being thrown at the anti-establishment people, and the anti-establishment people are the ones winning. So you got to ask, if that's the case, then the anti-establishment obviously does not have the deep pockets necessarily that the establishment has. So if the establishment is way outspending the anti-establishment, then I guess it's not about the money, is it? Well, no, it's not about the money. In any case, speaking of Hillary, in Nevada, I guess now. Remember, we heard that there was a firewall out in Nevada. Hillary Clinton's got a firewall. Nobody can get through the firewall out there in Nevada, and she almost lost it. In fact, the polls were so damn close that it looked like Bernie could actually pull it out in Nevada, that they were switching to South Carolina was going to be her firewall then. Look, Hillary doesn't necessarily have this locked up, even though the Democratic Party is in full support of her over Sanders. Make no mistake about it. Democrats have shown, Wasserman Schultz have shown and proven time and time again that they don't want. I don't like to mention people's looks, but the last time I saw over the weekend, I saw Wasserman Schultz. What is happening with her? I don't. Maybe it's because she's just not aging well. I don't know if she's ill or not. But I mean, she looked awful. I mean, she's not exactly a pretty lady, but I mean, she just looked horrendous. I've never seen her look that bad. I don't know if she's just tired. Maybe she had a cold or something. But my goodness, great, she looked awful. And that's, I know everybody. I'm going to say this. The Republicans have been very vicious when it comes to the looks of certain Democrats, and I got to tell you, it's not right. It's not right at all. And I always, I don't like Michelle Obama, but she does not look like a Wookiee. She does not look like a chimp or an ape. She is not a tranny. She was born a she. I believe she was born a she. I don't see any credible evidence to point in any other direction. And she's not an ugly woman. Yeah, there are some ugly pictures of her, but generally speaking, she's not an ugly woman. And I will stand up for people like that. I mean, that's uncalled for. I'm trying to explain. When I saw Wasserman Schultz this past weekend, she just didn't look well. Now, whether or not you think she's beautiful or not, I don't think she is, but she just looked awful. And I don't know if it's just the stress of the campaigns or maybe that she's under the weather, but I've never seen her look that bad before. Take it from there.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Welcome back. It is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great grand state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Monday, February the 22nd in the year of our Lord 2016. The call-in number is the same as usual, 603-835-3224. Again, that's 603-835-3224. If I'm not on speed dial, put me on speed dial. I want to be, somewhere, top 9. 1 through 9, make some room. Put that number on speed dial so you can call in. And anytime that you want, within the 3-hour window. Again, if you are not sharing this program with a friend or a family member or a coworker, why are you so selfish? One of the programs I caught for the first time. I don't watch, I say this a lot. I don't watch a lot of TV. But one of the programs I caught, and I think I probably caught it on Hulu, was the new sitcom Ken, Dr. Ken or something like that. The Asian guy that's in the What Happened in Vegas movies, whatever. He's the lead. He's hilarious, actually. He's a very funny guy. This is the first episode I caught of it, and it's a little over the top. But some of these comedy things, that's the whole point of them, over the top. But
One of the things I know that a lot of these programs often say is tell a friend that you watch this, talk about it in social media and that kind of things. And they try to create some buzz, even when there's, no buzz around it. So I just ask you, share it with a few people. Go ahead and share it. He's out. He is out. GOP, and he's out while the GOP sets another turnout record, but not good for the Democrats. Their numbers slide. Now, it's always been noted that whenever there is a high turnout in voters, it's usually a good sign for Republicans. Whenever there's a low voter turnout, that's usually a good sign for Democrats. Well, here we are. Republicans' turnout streak continued with the GOP. This is from the Washington Times. With GOP voters shattering their South Carolina primary record this past Saturday night, with almost all precincts reporting more than 737,000 votes had been counted. That was more than 20% higher than 2012, only about 603,000 voted. It followed record GOP turnouts in the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary earlier in this month. By contrast, Democrat turnout has tumbled from its 2008 records in all three contests, including Saturday's caucuses in Nevada. About 80,000 voters took part in the caucuses, which was 33% less than 2008's level. Now, Republicans hold their caucuses Tuesday in Nevada, while Democrats shift to South Carolina primary next weekend. So I guess tomorrow is the caucuses in Nevada for Republicans. So we'll see how that goes out there, but which is really kind of odd is why I say Jeb Bush jumping out now. It's bad timing. But out of Dateline, Columbia, South Carolina, Jeb Bush dropped out of the presidential race on Saturday, ending a quest for the White House that started with a war chest of $100 million. Of course, his famous name and a promise of political civility, but concluded with a humbling recognition that in 2016, none of that mattered. Here in 2016, the $100 million didn't matter. The famous name didn't matter. The promise and the actuality of political civility did not matter. No, they were all out there to, he just got crushed. But the interesting thing is that he's dropping out. I seriously thought he would have continued on at least until Super Tuesday, hoping to spark something. But maybe the numbers in Carolina were just too damning for him. And that means that he has to go away. You can't help that. If you spend all that kind of, because he spent a ton of money. And so what we've got now with and this is actually if you're looking at the results, I'm looking at the results of the Republican primary in South Carolina, and it's coming up on Google, and the source is AP. And with 100% of precincts returning and reporting, we have 32.5% for Trump, who wins 50 delegates. 22.5% goes to Rubio. 22.3% goes to Cruz. So there's a 0.2 percentage difference. In other words, there aren't that many votes separating Rubio and Cruz. But let's face it. The reason why they're probably telling Bush to get out now is they think that Bush is 7.8%. Much of that is going to go to Rubio. But the problem is that Rubio, who came in second place, was behind Trump by a full 10 points. So in other words, in order for Rubio to pick up that 10-point spread, he's going to have to get Bush and Kasich supporters, which means Kasich has to get out. He's going to pick up the Bush and Kasich supporters, which, by the way, if they're going to be more, if you think that Kasich and Bush are the more moderate, then they would go for the insider that's least bombastic, which would be Rubio. And I'm not saying that Rubio's an insider, but he's more of an insider than Cruz or Trump. Let's just put it that way. Bush got 7.8%, Kasich got 7.6%, and Carson 7.2%. Now, I haven't heard, is Carson, I did not hear if Carson was actually dropping out of the race. I think the race is narrowing quite fast. Like when we said when the primary started, it was people are going to start dropping like flies. I just thought Jeb Bush was going to be around until Super Tuesday, no matter what, unless he was down in the 1% area, which I didn't ever see him down there in that area, being down in that vicinity. But he was going to be around until Super Tuesday. Now, because he had the war chest, he had the money. I know he spent a lot of money, but he had more money to spend. My question is Kasich did good in New Hampshire, which kind of gives him a boost to go another. But it was an anomaly. I told people that was an anomaly. Don't pay attention to it. Kasich was not number 2 or number 3 anywhere. And the only reason why he was in New Hampshire is because New Hampshire was a small state, and he got out there and basically shook everybody's hand in the state, everywhere. Even in the least populous places, Kasich went. So he was trying to make a statement. And that statement is I can get the vote out. And it worked for him. He got, he came in second. Or third or somewhere. He had a very strong showing. But it was an anomaly. And it was not going to be repeated. Maybe Kasich is trying to hold on until he gets to the Ohio primary. I don't, we're his home state. Jeb isn't holding on until Florida, obviously. But we shall see what happens from this point. It's starting to get very interesting because as people drop out, all that support from people who are dropping out isn't necessarily translating into the other two top candidates. Isn't necessarily turning into Rubio or turning into Cruz support. They're getting a little bit of that, yes, but they're not. They don't seem to be getting the numbers to overtake Trump. But I know, and they keep saying this, Iowa's going to be the big test for Trump, and Trump finishes a strong second. Strong second. And they say, the test is going to be New Hampshire, and he crushes it in New Hampshire. And then when he does that, they say, the test is going to be South Carolina. Really? I thought the test was New Hampshire. I thought the test was Iowa. So now it's South Carolina. And he basically crushes it in South Carolina. So now where's the test going to be for Donald Trump? They're going to say it's Super Tuesday. He's got to do well on Super Tuesday, Rod, if he's going to have a chance in hell of getting the nomination. If if he doesn't win 90% of the Super Tuesday votes, then Trump is out. Trump is out. They've been pounding that drum for months. So in other words, if all of the states, if Trump doesn't win 90% of the states, then all of a sudden he's out. I mean, no. That's not the way this works. I mean, that is not going to be the case. He is not going to be out. I mean, if he loses every single state, which is highly unlikely, then you could say that it was, an anomaly and for the other states and that he's out. But it is highly unlikely for Trump to lose all of Super Tuesday states. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Just not. It won't. His support nationwide is just too big, and that's something that a lot of people are just going to have to come to terms with. Now, I'm not saying that you have to accept that he's, the fait accompli candidate. But if you're going to want to defeat him, you're going to have to understand who supports him and why. And you're going to have to accept and acknowledge this support. Part of the problem is a lot of these candidates are not acknowledging the supporters of Trump. And I think the Democrats have a similar problem. A lot of the Democrats are not acknowledging the supporters of Sanders. Well, you do that at your own detriment. If you're going to ignore them or discount them, they're going to shock and awe you every single time. And this is what has happened in South Carolina. I mean, 10 points is a commanding lead. And I know the story is, Rubio got 22.5%, man. He's climbing. He's got the momentum again. And Cruz is falling. He's only got 22.3%. But Trump, that's the big story about Trump. He didn't win by 50 points. Don't doubt me on this. They're going to try to downplay his win by saying he didn't win. Well, we had Trump at around 40% and the next competitor around 20 or less. He was supposed to be double the amount of support as somebody else. And Trump didn't get double the support. His support is waning. No. The story really is that Trump trounced everyone else, and his next closest competitor is 10 percentage points behind him. That is huge, especially when you have a record turnout. That is just really kind of unheard of. Basically, I mean, just wow. But Democrats, on the other hand, they're having troubles getting people to come to the polls in Nevada. I mean, they're down 1/3, a full 1/3 less than Barack Obama's magnificent Nevada run. Must means that the Democrats are not all that enamored with Bernie or Hillary. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. One of the things that I see a lot is a talk about is this wage gap thing. And this wage gap thing is obviously an issue that has been brought forth by who? None other than Democrats. None other than, excuse me, I just had to take a sip of coffee there. None other than Democrats are complaining about the so-called wage gap. But the problem is that a lot of times when you take it apart and they talk about the wage gap, they're nothing but a bunch of hypocrites. And when it comes to those who support these people in this kind of nonsense, and you talk to them over the weekend, there was an argument with a young man about trickle down economics doesn't work, and that the government needs to get in there and help people at the bottom. I said, well, trickle up poverty works, and trickle down wealth works. And he was adamant that I was wrong. And I said, well, finally, okay, let me put it to you this way. Your boss is not poor and on government assistance. The owner of your company is not poor and on government assistance, and yet he hired you. His wealth is trickling down to you in the form of your job. You, on the other hand, although you're not in government assistance, but people who earn less than you are not out there hiring anybody. Are you hiring anybody and paying anybody's salary? No. Is anybody who's making less than you hiring anybody and starting a business and paying somebody's salary? No. But what happens? We've seen the proof. We've got more people on food stamps and more people in poverty and more people, below that are working poor and don't have more people unemployed and out of work than ever before in this country. And this is what? At a time of higher taxes, higher regulation, bigger government, but that's supposed to fix the problem. And it hasn't. It's made things worse. Things have gotten worse under this administration, not better. Has it not? Well, yeah. Then how is it that trickle-down economics doesn't work? And there's silence. Point is that it does. The point is that maybe if you're a greedy SOB, which seems to be a bunch of Democrats usually, then I can see why it doesn't work. And see, they're talking about it. When they talk about it, the liberal Dems, they're talking about it from their own point of view, from their own personal history. In other words, just because they are selfish, cruel, mean, self-centered, narcissistic, they think that everybody else is too. That's not the case. Wage gap. One Hillary Clinton speech was more than the average CEO salary, but yet we've got her and Bernie Sanders running around out there talking about the CEO salary wage gap. Now, Democratic presidential candidate, and this is from the Washington Examiner, Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton charge that corporate CEOs earn 300 times more than their workers isn't just wrong. It hides other very real wage gap. She earns more in just one speech than the average American CEO in a year. Now, Mark J. Perry, University of Michigan professor and author of the American Enterprise Institute's popular Carpe Diem blog, did the fact-checking of Clinton's numbers and came up with that result. The average CEO using Bureau of Labor Statistic figures makes $216,100 per year. Clinton's speaking agent, the Harry Walker Agency Incorporated, charged about $275,000 a speech and packaged 3 for Wall Street's Goldman Sachs at $675,000. Now, Perry used the Bureau of Labor Statistics average salary for all CEOs, not just the top ones Clinton's likes to cite. And trust me, when they talk about doing something to just the few, that's never the case. It's always going to, their laws and regulations always hit everyone. Everyone. And frankly, that's nothing new. It's simply what the liberals have always done. Is they've tried to hide the fact of what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and they try to go and blame somebody else for it when it doesn't go right. Like, hey, the economy, this economy is all about Barack Obama's administration. But for some reason, it's not Barack's fault. It's the evil CEOs of this country's fault because of this huge pay gap. The average CEO makes $216,000 a year. The average U.S. worker makes $49,000 a year. And they're trying to make it sound like, well, people are only making $20,000 while the CEOs are making $1 million or more. That's not the case. Well, the guy who gets the biggest compensation package annually? Anybody know the name Larry Ellison? Yeah, he's the co-founder, CEO, I think he's also president of Oracle. But this is a guy that hated, well, still does have a hatred for Microsoft. Yeah, Larry Ellison, the guy who a few years ago won back the America's Cup yacht racing trophy that was lost for 15 years. That was the longest winning streak in sports winning streak in world history, was the America's Cup. I think for 100 years, United States kept winning and it was supposed to be a yacht race. And now they're catamarans and trimarans or something. They won with this thing called a trimaran. Basically 3 hulls. But it was, $400 million, I guess, is what it costs Ellison to win back the pride and joy. This is a guy that, one of the things that we find out that a lot of these high net worth and high-end CEOs and company founders and co-founders, there's one thing that they all seem to have in common, is this insatiable need to win. That's Trump. Trump has this insatiable need to win. He's a winner, not a loser. And he can't stand to lose. Larry Ellison is the same way. And but if you think that's only attributed only to males and male business leaders, you got another thing coming. Obviously, Hillary Clinton likes to win too. She doesn't do it quite as often, and she doesn't know what she's doing quite as often. Not because she's a woman, but just because she's an idiot. Plain and simple. But yeah, that's it. Well, it is what it is, folks.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars, all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave leaving your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
603-835-3224 is the number to call if you wish to join me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show. That is what you are currently listening to, just in case you stumbled across and didn't know what you were listening to. Now you know. Now, according to, back to the Washington Examiner, according to this wage gap issue, what you get from the Clintons and the Democrats and the liberals is they're saying that there is this 300-to-1 wage gap. And Clinton even touts it in an ad. And make no mistake about it, it's not just Hillary. Democrats en masse are coming out with this 300 and 250, 300. I've even seen in some case 400-to-1 wage gap spread. The reality of it is, sure, there are, and even when it comes to these comparisons, they're a little bit disingenuous. Sure, there are some, corporate bigwig CEOs that make $1 million a year, or maybe a little bit more, and they're not comparing it. They say, well, we're comparing it with the people in their company. No, they're not. They're comparing it with a janitor. But a lot of times in these corporations, the janitor doesn't work for that company. They work in that company's office, but they don't work for that company. They work for a cleaning agency. By the way, and the cleaning agency's salary is not 300 times bigger than the lowly maid or janitor. Just not. But they want to try to portray this. In this office, yes. You have this CEO making $1 million, and you have this janitor or maid who comes in after everybody's gone home to clean the offices who's making $10 or $12 an hour. Great, got it. The problem is that janitor isn't being paid by that company that has $1 million CEO. They're paying another company to come in and do all the cleaning. And the CEO of that cleaning company is not making $1 million or more every year. But they tend to do these apples and oranges types of comparisons. But here's the deal. The actual real truth is, if you're going to talk about the average wage of somebody or some group, should you not include, to go apples to apples, include the average wage of all groups. So if you're going to take that honest comparison and you look at the average salary of all U.S. CEOs, and last year there was, you got Clinton who makes a ton of money off of this stuff. But in 2014, there were approximately 21,550 CEOs, chief executives, working full-time, managing a company or an enterprise. And of those CEOs, earned an average salary of $216,100, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a Barack Hussein Obama administration department. Governmental department. So you can try to dispute these numbers all you want to, but these are the numbers coming from the government. And some people might be out there saying, $216,000 as a CEO? Man, that's not a lot of money. Because you have been told a lie about what all these people, all these CEOs earn. It's been a fairy tale, if you will. Sure, there are some CEOs that earn what seemingly is an outrageous sum of money. But that is not the vast majority, nor is it the average. Here, the average is just $216,100 a year, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Again, a government agency. Now, that's about the same annual salary of an orthodontist of just over $201,000 a year. You know, your orthodontist, basically a dentist, making $200,000 a year. Well, you got to go. You got to enjoy playing in spit all day long, I suppose. But I mean, I know somebody's saying, "Well, that's gross." Well, that's exactly what it is. You're playing in people's mouths. I don't know how much more gross you can. Well, I guess you could be a doctor that checks out your backside. Prostate and all that kind of stuff, but if that's what you want to do. Now, the average private full-time American worker, notice that they emphasize private versus public, in other words, government, which is nearly twice the private rate, by the way. The average private full-time worker earned $48,920 in 2014 based on the average hourly wage of $24.46. So that would give us an average CEO to average worker pay ratio of only 4.4 to 1, which is not 300 to 1, folks. It's not it's 4.1 to, I mean, if you're working for a small or mid-sized company, which is most likely the case, seeing how most Americans work for small or mid-sized businesses, your CEO is not making $1 million. Your CEO is probably making no more than 4 times what your salary is. And you know what? That CEO probably owns the company because it's a small business, medium-sized business. They probably own it. They're probably the founder. Or if they're not the founder, they probably bought it. Using their own money, not your money. Now, this ratio has actually been stable over the past 8 years. Between 2007 and 2014. Oh, wait a minute. Under all this time under the Obama administration, you mean they haven't changed this ratio at all? The ratio hasn't gone down? The ratio has been pretty steady. And the reality is that since 2011, average CEO pay is actually down slightly. What do y'all leftists say about that? I mean, this is just one of those things that is just, it is so blatantly twisted by the left. And of course, our lamestream media just has to go ahead and continue to twist this stuff even further. I mean, it's just absolutely redonkulous of how it is. But, it is what it is. And I don't. It's it's not surprising, simply because they have an agenda on the left, and their agenda does not coincide or mix very well with the agenda of freedom. It just doesn't. It doesn't mix well, and because if they tell the absolute truth, if they actually compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, and they tell the absolute truth, it would show that they're not the party for America. They're not the people for their ideas. Do not work. Because here on one hand, they're claiming that this humongous wage gap is happening, and yet she's out there giving speeches, one speech for 30, 40 minutes, making more than the CEO of the average CEO of a company works all year for, and she does it in less than an hour. And then she has the nerve to be kind of sly and snide. Well, I don't know. That's what they offered. Yeah. Blame it on somebody else. They don't offer it. Sure, on an occasion, you're going to get somebody say, well, come on in and do this for me, and I'll give you this amount of money if you do that. Usually, it's the other way around. They're reaching out and saying, well, we can have Miss Clinton come speak at your event, but here's her fee if you want her to come. And it is $275,000 per speech, by the way. $275,000 per speech. And the average wage of a CEO is only $216,000. So Clinton made almost $60,000 more for one speech. By the way, that gap of nearly $60,000 is obviously more than $10,000 more than the average salary of the average American blue-collar, white-collar, middle-class worker of just under $49,000 a year. So can you see she outgaps everybody? I mean, they've made her and her husband since he left office, have earned over $100 million. Most of it from speaking. I don't know about you, but I don't know many people that earn $100,000 or even $100 every year speaking. Okay. Remember it was Benny? No, not Benny. What was his name? Vinny or Benny from Lethal Weapons? Oh, okay. Joe Pesci's character. Okay. All right, here's the deal. It is possible to make a very good living just speaking. There are quite a few people out there on the speaking circuit that do. They earn high five, six-figure incomes on an annual basis. Some of them, the cream of the crop, make 7 or 8 figures. And for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's real end, that means, $1 million, $10 million a year. There are some speakers who do that. But when they do that, usually they're offering more than just their speaking fees. They have products and services outside of their speaking fees. They're not earning $1 million just speaking. Understand the Clintons, maybe they've written a couple of books, but understand the grand bulk of that more than $100 million has been strictly for speaking, because the only other product or service those two have to offer is political office and writing a couple of books. That's it. They have nothing else. But on the other hand, if you're looking at people like Tony Robbins, obviously Tony Robbins gets paid for more than just speaking. He's got books, he's got products, he's got services, coaching, DVDs and VHSs and camps and all that stuff gets rolled into one company basically, and that allows him to earn, whatever he earns, 10, 20, 30, $50 million. But he's not doing it strictly on speaking. And here we have the Clintons, who have no product or service to offer, earning $100 million since leaving office. More than. What's that number? $110 million? It's some ridiculous amount of money. And we're supposed to feel sorry for... Remember, when their excuse is, well, when we left the White House, we were dead broke. We were in debt. Now, I don't know how you leave the White House being in debt. Their legal funds are taking care of all their legal bills. I don't think they put any money of their... Still, the bulk of the money that came to pay for all those lawyers from their legal troubles in the White House were paid out through donated funds. I don't think the Clintons put in too much of their own cash in that, in defending themselves. But they're out there earning this big amount of money and then blaming somebody else for making too much money. Speaking of which, making too much money, the speeches, everybody wants to know what she said in her speeches at some of these Wall Street companies and banks, right? Well, according to MSNBC's Mike Brzezinski, a print reporter has copies of the transcripts of Hillary Clinton's paid speeches to financial firms, but to date has not released them. Now, John Heilemann, Heilemann, said on a weekend edition of Morning Joe that reporters are attempting to glean Clinton's statements to financial firms by interviewing people who were in the room and having them characterize the message. Now, what's happening is you're getting these people who have heard the speeches saying, oh, she sounded like a managing director of Goldman Sachs. She sounded like a part of our club. Now, Brzezinski interjected that I know a print reporter who has actual transcripts. Well, then they should probably release them. But here you have a reporter obviously covering for Hillary by not presenting and releasing these transcripts, these so-called transcripts of some of her speeches. Be interesting to know what she talked about, especially if these guys are right. If she sounds like she's one of them, then I guess Bernie Sanders would be correct in saying that Hillary is part of the problem. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know how you can sit there and... Well, I hate to agree with Bernie, but let's face it. How do you regulate an industry? How do you really regulate an industry when they're paying you? I mean, how do you create rules for somebody when they're paying you either not to create the rules or to create rules that are more favorable to them and make things more difficult for anybody else who wants to create an alternative? Look at the well, let me give you an example. I know I keep coming back to this, but the taxi industry. Look at the taxi industry. For years and years, for decades, they had the monopoly. For years and years, they had the opportunity to come up with stuff, to come up with applications, if you will, that would improve customer service and customer interaction and customer satisfaction. They turned them down. Each and every time they turned them down. Somebody brought it up. They turned them down. And then you get something called Uber and Lyft and ride sharing, the sharing economy, which, by the way, is fully and completely growing out of the Obama administration economy. Because you got 94 million people who are permanently out of work. They've got to do something to survive. So what are they? They're looking at the things that they have already in their possession and trying to spend them and use them in ways that's going to earn them an income. And thus, you have a lot of this sharing industry. You've got Airbnb and all their counterparts and competitors. People are taking their property and taking it away from greedy realtors. And I know some realtors here in the seacoast of New Hampshire, they charge an arm and a mint to rent out people's beach cottages for the summer. Well, how about you do it yourself and cut out the middleman? And it's real easy. There's a bunch of websites, you take a bunch of pictures of your place, you make it look really nice, you write a little blurb about how nice it is and where it is, and you put it on these different websites like Airbnb. They take a small percentage when you rent it out, and they handle all the transactions. You don't have to worry about it. You set the price. It's kind of like set it and forget it. They handle all those transactions. They don't have to come to you. All you got to do is just worry about, making sure that the place is clean after somebody uses it. And you don't have to pay those outrageous fees to a realtor. Some realtors have picked up on this, by the way, and they've dropped their fees. So now you got people out there who either don't want to own a car or don't have a car, can't get a car, or they live in a particular place that a car is not conducive, like, inside, they live in the big inner city, like maybe New York City or someplace, and it's just not very conducive or prudent to own a vehicle. So they said, you know what? These taxis are getting more and more expensive. They're dirty, filthy, stinky. The drivers are rude. Can barely understand many drivers now because most of them are immigrants, and you don't want to. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them happen to be of the Muslim or Islam faith, and people don't want to support that. So what happens? They're thinking, man, I just wish there was a way I could get a ride from somebody without having to pay that high price and get poor service. And somebody said, you know what? I need to make some extra money. I've got this 4-door car here. What if I could just somehow meet up with somebody and offer them a ride? And frankly, folks, this whole sharing notion started on things like Craigslist. When people looked at what they already had and they started to advertise it on Craigslist and other classified ad spots. And then people took a look at this, and some of them with the smarts to do it decided to develop web applications and web pages and websites. And then thus, the full-blown sharing industry took flight. And now you have cab companies crying foul when they had the ability to do this all along and they refused to do it. And now they're saying, well, Uber and Lyft and all those other ride-sharing programs are unfair competition. That's a bunch of BS. There's no such thing as unfair competition when you open up a market. But hey, this all comes about because of the Obama administration's economy. If the economy were truly booming, you wouldn't have all these people trying to be out there making extra money or making full-time. There are a lot of people out there that have made a full-time income in the sharing industry. Can you imagine taking something that you already own and just be willing to share it with other people for a fee? And you can make a full income. There are people that make 6 figures a year doing this. There are people who are actually buying items. They're buying property and buying cars and buying other shareables strictly with the goal and mindset of putting it into the sharing economy as an investment, if you will. And talking about starting your own business for basically no money. That's what it. There's a guy. There's a guy in New York City. I just saw it this weekend. Guy in New York City. He's an Uber and Lyft driver, not a taxi driver. Uber and Lyft. He's a sharing economy driver. I think he uses things like DoorDash and a couple of others too. But here's a sharing economy driver in New York City claiming that in the past 2 years he's made more than $1 million. Now, I know that there are lots of examples of these sharing kinds of economy workers, if you will, drivers, who are making six figures. Now, granted, if you look at the hours that they're putting in, hey, they're putting in hours like your average CEO. Your average CEO doesn't put in 40 hours a week. They're putting in 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Some of these drivers are doing the same thing. They're putting in 60 or 70 hours a week. But you know what? They're making six figures. And they're doing it simply because they came across this idea, because they had to, because they needed extra money, because of the Obama economy, which completely and totally still sucks. And I got some information about a recession coming back. Don't go away, folks.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Welcome back to hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. The fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio is right here on the Rod Eccles Show, powered by Zinc Media. It is still Monday, February the 22nd, in the year of our Lord 2016, as I broadcast to you live from my bunkerized studio somewhere in the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. Have I mentioned how much I love my home state, my adopted home state? Yeah, I'm not originally from New Hampshire. Some people might think that, well, geez, it sounds like you are. But no, I'm not. This is my adopted home state, and I absolutely love it here. The people are friendly. Once you get to know how people operate, you got to understand the good old Yankee. The Yankee's the type of person that that likes their privacy, and they like to give you your privacy. They don't want to be all up in your business, and they don't want you all up in their business. You know, this is why they don't particularly open up too much from people out of state, especially if you've got, like New York license plates, because everybody thinks if you have New York license plates, they don't think New York State, they think New York City.
And we know how New York City drama is prevalent everywhere, and everybody's all up in everybody else's business in New York City. Well, that's what Yankees don't like. And if you're in Western Mass, if you're in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, you're going to get that kind of standoffish type of attitude from a lot of Yankees. But actually, Yankees are very warm. They're very friendly. They're very outgoing, and they will give a hand wherever they can. Hell, they don't throw. The true Yankee doesn't throw stuff away. I mean, what do you think? You think these barns are? There's all these barns around here. People, be it in the city, like Manchester, Concord, Nashua, there are houses, but before the city grew up around them, there are these farms, and these homes still have all these big, huge barns. Well, they don't have animals anymore. What do you think they're putting in those barns? Well, they're keeping all the stuff that they don't want to throw away, because someday, as a Yankee says, they're going to use it. Now, that's one thing. That's the one mentality I do not have. I do not have that Yankee mentality of just keeping stuff. I have a more minimalistic mentality that says you're not probably going to use something that is old and outdated. And I find myself doing. Do people have to realize that there is a little bit of that Yankiness that has creeped in with me, and for whatever reason, I have not been able to let. I still have except for one, because I don't have this one because I lost it in the snow. I still have every cell phone I have ever owned, except for one. And there's no way in hell any of those cell phones are ever going to be useful anywhere on the planet, really. Because none of that old technology from 2000, 2001, whatever it is, that's what is that? What are we up to? 5? We're up to 4G now. I mean, I think those old cell phones, if they're a G, I think they're 1G. They're not even. They're not even smartphones. I mean, they're. I still have that stupid BlackBerry Pearl with the pearl that keeps falling out. It just. I don't know why I have them. And if you go into any of these boxes that try to say, well, your phone might be worth some money, they tell you, well, your phone is worthless, but we'll still take it. I'm not stupid. I know that I'm just probably going to end up taking them to a recycling center, where they will take all the precious metals out of each and every one of the phones, because there's still precious metals in there, and they're worth something. They're not worth nothing. But that's I still have some old electronic stuff that is just spring cleaning this year, I'm getting rid of that stuff. I still have way outdated electronic stuff, and especially wiring that just doesn't fit in today's upgraded stuff. So I need to recycle that stuff. But for the most part, I don't keep stuff hanging around. If it has outlived its usefulness or it's broken, it's got to go away. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. How I get trapped into this idea of keeping electronic stuff, maybe because electronic stuff tends to be a little bit expensive, like computers and stuff. Well, no, I've gotten rid of computers before too, so. And it looks like I'll have to get rid of a couple more pretty soon if they keep acting up on me. As well as a phone. I think it's time to get rid of a particular phone as well. Maybe one of these days I will. But until then, it is what it is. And if you want to better your life, then don't take that Yankee mentality. Take the where did the minimalist movement come? Is that California? Well, no, it's not really. I think minimalist is really a type of religious thing, and all the major religions have this sort of anti-stuff part of their religion. Christianity isn't about stuff. Buddhism isn't about stuff. Hinduism isn't about stuff. It's about anti-stuff, really. You don't need all that stuff. And quite frankly, you get to save a lot. If you're not trying to buy and get... here's the problem. This is the problem with a lot of people. And developing nations are the same way. You know, China, India, they're starting to run into this type of mentality because it is starting to be taught and spread. But here in the United States, we equate wealth, real and perceived wealth, we equate it with stuff. And the lower your income range, it seems, the more you're inundated with worthless stuff. But you're willing to buy it simply because you think it is showing to your friends and your family, and they perceive you to be doing well because you have so much stuff. The problem is all that stuff is not collectibles. It's actually worthless. You go into Target, you go into Walmart, you go into some other super discounter, dollar store, what have you, and there's all this stuff. Stuff that you don't need. These so-called collectibles, especially. Really? Who's collecting that stuff? A collection should be something that actually has some sort of value. This stuff is already overvalued before you even buy it because it's way overpriced. You know, it's like $29.99 for this, but it costs maybe like $2 to make, and it's really only worth maybe $4 or $5. But you buy it for $30, and you think you've got some sort of added value to your home, but it's ridiculous. And this is what happens all the time, over and over. And then people also buy stuff that doesn't last. You know, because they look at the price. Oh, I'm going to spend $30 on this worthless piece of figurine over here. But, you know, for clothing, I'm not going to spend $50 in the high quality hoodie. I'm going to spend, $9.99 in this cheap thin hoodie that's going to wear out after I wash it 6 times. But they think they're saving money that way. And they think they're making money by buying this worthless figurine that's called a collectible. But it's not. And now, Yankees tend to keep stuff that they think that they can use it or use parts of it some. It's like living on the homestead. You know, you watch the Kilchers and the Alaska Last Frontier, whatever it is, the Kilcher clan up there in Alaska. I know there's also the Alaskan Bush people, but I don't like them as much. They're a little weird. Kilchers are kind of strange, but you know they've got all the modern conveniences. I don't know how they do it, but they do. I mean, hell, they got backhoes and all that kind of stuff. Or was it Brown family, the Alaskan Bush people? I think their last name is Brown. They're kind of really living out in the bush with a lot less, stuff. Kilcher's got a lot of stuff. Any case, well, so they got stuff. But, so here in New England, we don't have people we've got friendly people. We've got people, Yankees, they think they're going to use all this stuff, and they never end up utilizing it. And the funny thing is you go to these barn sales or estate sales, and what you get is a bunch of other Yankees coming in to see what kind of stuff is left behind at estate sales and what have you, and they take home a bunch of the stuff themselves and never use it. Get shoved in their barns or their basements or their attics. Never really gets used, but they think, yeah, it's a good bargain, and one of these days they're going to use it. And every once in a while they'll actually have something that they can reuse, which then gives them credible evidence in their mind to keep all of the stuff. Because they, in 1 year and 5, they had something that they could reuse or repurpose, and they think, see, I already had it, man. That's why, I could reuse all this stuff someday. Never know when we're going to need it. So it creates credibility. They use it once, something once, in 5 years, every 5 years, and that gives them credence and credibility to keep all the other stuff. Just it happens that way. But there are a lot of treasures in New England barns, by the way. If you go barn diving, or they call treasure picking. There's even a show, Pickers, right? Yeah. I don't know, was that AMC, Discovery, one of those channels. But if you go barn diving, kind of like dumpster diving, but, you go barn diving around here in New England, you are liable to find all kinds of treasures. Some of it probably could be worth a lot of money. You never know. This is, as far as the United States is concerned, New England is not only the antiques capital region of the United States, but one of the capital regions of the world for antiques. It's one of the oldest parts of this country, of North America, but it's just because of Yankee ingenuity and Yankeeism, people just don't throw stuff away. So this stuff hangs around. It doesn't end up in landfills often around here like it can in other parts of the country, which is why there are so many antique dealers here. And why so many people scramble here to come here from all over the world antiquing. Because you never know what they're going to dig up. They never know. So if you like that, if you like antiquing and you like having stuff, then I'm not saying move to New England if you don't already live here. But what I am saying is, come visit, do some follow the antique trail, because every state has got their antique trail maps. Some states have more than one. And here in New England, all 6. And this is antiquers and what else is it? Maybe not an antique, but a classic. An antique and classics haven is here in New England. So come for that, and come in the winter. Yes, brave the snow, because most of these joints, even these barns, are still open to the public, even in the coldest of days and snowiest of days. But there's a lot less traffic, a lot less people around, so you get better. It's easier to shop because there's a lot less competition. It's easier to make good deals. If you want to haggle, it's easier to get a better deal during the off season, which is winter, than the on season, which is the warmer months. So come then. Come now. Come for a visit now. Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not getting paid by any of the New England states to promote New England tourism, but I happen to live here, so I know the deal. Come. If you like that kind of stuff, come to New England. By the way, cell phones. This is not good for guys. And if you're a male, well, actually, if you're a female, you probably should be paying attention to this as well. Because, this is affecting your guy. And this is affecting your children, believe it or not. So you're going to want to pay attention to this thing and not put it off any, and not say that it's really not relevant, because it really is, and you need to really pay attention to it. And this is from actually the Telegraph.uk or .co.uk, and it is about your cell phone in your pocket. The study finds sperm levels of men who kept their phones in their pocket during the day were quite seriously affected in 47% of cases. Mobile phones are cooking, in quotations, men's sperm. Now, fertility experts are warning man that using a mobile for as little as an hour a day is cooking your sperm and lowering levels significantly. The new study shows that having a mobile phone close to the testicles or within a foot or two of the body can lower sperm levels so much that conceiving could be difficult. And indeed, when you do conceive, it could be that as they're putting it, there's less competition to get to the egg to fertilize it, which means more inferior sperms could end up fertilizing the egg. And thus an inferior sperm versus one of your superior sperms or one of your deformed sperms could lead to birth defects. Now, the findings have led to a leading British fertility expert to advise men to stop being addicted to mobile phones. Now, the study by highly respected specialists found that sperm levels of men who kept their phones in their pocket during the day were seriously affected in 47% of the cases, compared to just 11% in the general population. So the team monitored more than 100 men attending a fertility clinic for a year. And that's, we've had other issues with cell phones. This whole notion that there was that the brain cancer thing is a myth. Well, yeah, actually, that's not a myth. The cell phone industry was trying to put it out there that it was a myth. It's not a myth, actually. There is a slight increase in heavy users of cell phones who put the phone up to their heads instead of using a wireless device, a headphone device. There was a slight increase in certain types of brain anomalies or head anomalies, not just brain, head, meaning basically cancers that run around in the head, brain cancer, mouth cancer, other types of skin cancers that form on the head or the face. There was a slight increase. The point is that these devices do give off a certain amount of heat and radiation that is not exactly healthy for the body. And if you overexpose yourself to this stuff, now your body is capable of handling quite a bit, actually, absorbing quite a bit of different kinds of radiation for over the course of a year. The problem occurs when you start to overexpose yourself. And again, people constantly put these things in their pockets or now if you're an older guy, then you probably, at this particular juncture, there seems to be nothing to worry about because you're probably not going to have a kid when you're 60 or 70 years old. I know Rupert Murdoch had a child when he was 70, right? Yeah, whatever. But what is he? He's 80 something now, Murdoch? Oh, that's just terrible. Why would you do that to a kid? You're basically you're your child's grandfather. And it's just awful. But in any case, you got to be careful because if you're overexposing yourself to certain types of external negative stimuli, it is going to have an adverse effect, no matter how small, on you. And the smallest of things that are affected could turn out to be very huge in the long run. If you end up having a child that has a birth defect, well, that is a huge issue. You may think, well, it's just sperm. I got plenty of them. But if you end up having a child with a birth defect, and most likely that birth defect means that it's going to be the life of the kid, meaning either you and or somebody else is going to have to keep an eye on or take care of that person. When you could have possibly have prevented some of that risk by understanding your risk. So if you're having it close to, I don't know how you do it. You can't. If you're going to have the cell phone on, I guess you gotta have the cell phone. But be aware that if you're a young man of childbearing or rearing years, which means, and the problem is starting with. We're giving these things to boys at such a young age. These cell phones, they always high schoolers and middle schoolers, they have these things on them constantly. Well, their bodies are still developing, and if they're developing with this over radiation and over whatever else exposure, it's going to affect them. So parents need to pay attention to their teen boys, and you women should be out there. Well, if you want to have kids. I'm sure most of you don't want to have kids. You purposely don't want to have a child with a birth defect. So you might want to ask your male mate to turn off the phone more often. I'm just reporting this stuff to you. It's the way it is. And they're giving you some ways to help this around. Now, if you wear a suit to work or you wear a jacket in any case, but as much as you can, put the mobile phone in a pocket closest to your chest instead of in your pants pocket. Put it in a jacket pocket or shirt pocket versus the pants pocket. And if you have the phone if you have the phone in these phone clips, which is on your belt, that's still too close. Even if you basically have it in the phone in the back, in your middle of your back, that's still right there up on your testes. So put the phone in your chest. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if someday they come around and say, well, having the phone in your chest pocket is bad for your heart and your lungs and all that kind of stuff. Who knows? But maybe we just need to learn how to either shield ourselves from this stuff or use this stuff less frequently. I think we got a better chance of trying to shield it than to use it less frequency. But you have been warned.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
Welcome back. 603-835-3224 is the number to call should you wish to join me here live on the Rod Eccles Show this Monday morning. A lot of people, well, and this is vacation week, winter break for all the wonderful kiddies here in New Hampshire. Last week was Massachusetts, Connecticut. I think this week it's I don't know if the Vermont and Maine have the same week off, but New Hampshire kids have this week off for their winter break. So I know a lot of the kiddies will be running around out there. So if you're in New Hampshire, be careful, because I just saw this morning there were some kids out on their bikes. It's rather nice day out, not too bad as far as temperature. It's about 32 degrees out there in Concord, which is for February, that's a heat wave, and we have hardly any snow, which means that there's probably going to be drought conditions later on in the spring if we don't get a lot of spring rain. Yeah, it is what it is. Hey, did you know, this is one of the things I've been warning people about as well, is about certain stuff that you buy that you think is yours. But I always said that government was saying that, you really don't own something, and if you want to prove it, stop paying your tax on it and see who actually owns it. But here's a story out of WND that takes that another step. You're spending a lot of money on stuff, and what you're finding out is, in the fine print, is you don't own it. Take your phone, for instance. You think, you think you buy something that you own it, but then you find out you can't take your phone. It's got to be cracked. In other words, it's got to be broken into in order for you to be able to use it on a different network if you want to. And a lot of times if you do that, then all of a sudden you're voiding any warranties or guarantees you had on the phone. And sometimes you could be held liable for actually breaking into your own phone. Well, I thought it was yours. I thought you owned it. It's not a lease. They're saying you bought it. But in reality, what they're doing is they're hiding a lot of lease terms into the things that you buy. So this from W&D, the headline is, "Surprise, you bought it, but you don't own it." And this is something that many of you probably do not know about, but consumers may not actually own some of the things that they purchase, according to an organization that specializes in privacy, ownership, and conflicts, especially in the digital world. And if you think it's just on small devices, you just bought a new car? It's not yours. And you're probably thinking, well, hey, I didn't lease it. Of course it's mine. No, it's not. Even something as simple as an ink cartridge for your printer is not yours entirely. And you have to ask yourself, if this is the case, how many other products are or soon will be in the same classification? Now, the Electronics Frontier Foundation highlighted the issue with a recent commentary on a court ruling regarding printer cartridges. Court ruling on printer cartridges? Here's the deal. Patent owners can prevent you from owning anything, is the headline. Let me repeat that. Patent owners can prevent you from owning anything. You know, this was one of the stories behind Amazon's meteoric rise. You had publishers who were trying to put the kibosh on the used book market by saying that ordinary people did not have the right to resell a book. It was copyright infringement. Well, of course, that was thrown out, and they lost that war. But the battle was set. The lines were drawn. And now you have the issue is that the issue in this particular case is that Lexmark printers was selling a patented cartridge with a stated restriction of single use only. In other words, there are a lot of places out there you can go and get these cartridges. There's even a business out there, a franchise type of business that you can go to and have and there's probably more than one, that you can go to have your ink cartridges refilled. But Lexmark was saying that was an infringement on their patent on their cartridge because it was a one-time single use only. What? That means, according to the ruling from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, you can buy the cartridge and you can buy the cartridges and use them, but you can only return them to the patent owner. You can't recycle them. And you're not supposed to throw them away. And it's one-time use, which means you cannot reuse them. In other words, you can't refill the cartridge because you're buying one-time use only. The ruling said that we hold that when a patentee sells a patented article under otherwise proper restrictions on resale and reuse communicated to the buyer at the time of the sale, the patentee does not confer authority on the buyer to engage in the prohibited release or reuse. In short, an offender can be determined liable for patent infringement and subject to all the accompanying penalties of said infringement. Now, basically, the EFF hopes that the Supreme Court takes a hard look at this case and restores consumer rights in products they purchase. Patents are now routinely granted on even the smallest part of a product. Because, hey, we got to make the patent office viable, right? So even for the smallest design in the product, you have all these different, even utility patents and this kind of patent and design patent. And there's all these little patents on stuff. Really? I mean, I watch Shark Tank. I get all these, people talking about, they have, all these different patents that are pending, or they got these patents, and a particular simplistic type of product all of a sudden has 3 or 4 patents on it. Like, well, where the hell is all the patent? Well, there's a design patent, there's a utility or use patent. In other words, they have a patent on how you use the product. Are you kidding me? Yeah, because you can, nobody else allows you to use the product in this particular way. So we have a patent on this particular way of using it. So, in other words, patents are now routinely granted on even the smallest part of a product, and even for the smallest design in the product. Yes, it is often difficult, if not impossible, for consumers to find out what patents a manufacturer claims are embodied in their products. And therefore, when those patents expire, the patent statutes try to incentivize disclosure of that information, but it nonetheless remains optional. But what's more, under the Federal Circuit's rule, a patent restriction could be on packaging that's later separated from the item, creating even more ongoing uncertainty for resellers and repurchasers. So if you wanted to, I don't know, evidently somebody can get a patent on the way a particular product's packages. So when you try to resell it somewhere, now you're in that package, you're infringing on the patent. But if you separate that item and try to resell it somewhere, then most people aren't going to want to buy it because they need the packaging for it to be viable or something. I don't know. It's kind of like if you have a book without a book cover. It's not nearly as valuable as a book with a book cover. But it's not just patents. Now, Pete Bigelow at Autoblog wrote last year about General Motors' claims that it retains ownership of some parts of its new vehicles no matter how much you pay the dealer. GM says it is our position the software in the vehicle is licensed by the owner of the vehicle. GM attorney Harry Lightsey said in a hearing by the U.S. Copyright Office. Now, Bigelow said it means that after consumers pay tens of thousands of dollars for a car, the company says users are merely signing a licensing agreement to use it over its lifetime. It could lead to a requirement that any repairs must be made by an official GM technician using only official GM parts at whatever prices GM establishes, and your local mechanic could be out of work. Now, GM's stance is a sweeping one. Cars today are mobile computing networks. Critical functions like steering, acceleration, and braking are all controlled by software. Each GM model contains an average of 30 electronic control units. Without legal access to these ECUs, electronic control units, and the software that run them, mechanics and others who enjoy working on cars may need to cease repairs. So you may not have a choice. See, this is where it has to come into play. If you are selling me something, then it's mine to do with as I please. If you want to lease me something, then it is not mine. I'm renting it. But if you're telling me that I'm going to spend $40,000 to own a car that I do not really own, then no, that should not be legal. Now, I'm not asking for government intervention. I'm asking for government clarification because they made the rules on all these copyrights, which is now getting out of hand. And it's getting to the point where it could affect, it is affecting secondary markets. So in reality, what is happening and could happen is that if you buy a car and you want to go and resell it, you may have to get permission from the manufacturer first, which means they could say no, which now your car is totally worthless. Do you understand how this works? If the way things are going right now, the way GM is putting it out there, first of all, your mechanic doesn't have permission to work on GM's car. So they can't do it. If they do, they're violating the patent and copyright on GM's product, and they can sue you and your mechanic. But then at the same time, they're going to say, well, you have, because we know what it's like to take your car to the dealership. Most of the time, it's more expensive to get a repair done at the dealership. So now they're saying, well, hey, you know what? You got to bring the car back to an authorized dealer. And yeah, it's going to cost you 3 times as much than on the open market. But if you take it someplace else, we'll sue you. Okay, what if I sell the car? Well, no. You can only sell it back to the dealer. And of course, the dealer, knowing this, is not going to give you full value for it. So if you try to sell it to a used car dealer, GM can say, no, That's patent and copyright infringement. You cannot do that. So in other words, even though they're selling you something, they're not really selling you anything. Can you see how that makes how that makes investing in anything absolutely useless and worthless? And as a matter of fact, it definitely puts into perspective the cause, or saying built-in obsolescence. Do you also realize that because you don't own the device that you bought, that the patent owner can decide at any time when it is obsolete, that the device that you have is obsolete and cannot and will not be serviced by them anymore, and thus cannot be serviced by anybody else. For example, Microsoft, Windows XP, they stopped supporting it. Because they stopped supporting it, really, their licenses for letting other people support it has also expired. So in other words, Microsoft is saying, yes, you own the computer, but we own the software. And we're telling you that you have to go get new software now. And people are quite familiar with this whole issue about software. And, you buy it's wonderful how you get some of these software companies will tell you, well, I bought it for this computer. Now I'm changing computers, upgrading computers, and the software company says, well, you got to buy a new piece of software. And you say, well, I already have it, and it's going to be eliminated off of this computer. And they'll tell you, well, no, we own the copyright on it, and when you bought it, you didn't buy it, and you attached it to that computer. You can't even though you've got the disk and whatever, you can't legally transfer it to another computer. This is what a lot of software companies will tell you. You've got to buy another version. Because they're telling you, even though you bought it, you don't own it. So in other words, I've leased it, right? No, you didn't lease it. You bought it. You own it. But I don't own it. Well, there's caveats. General Motors, by the way, is currently prompting customers to sign licensing agreements for some vehicle functions like its OnStar navigation and infotainment packages. Although they don't have car buyers sign agreements for all ECUs, the company is now claiming that licensing principles applies across the entire car. So in other words, instead of signing on the dotted line when you go in to buy a General Motors car, the single dotted line, here, the car's yours. Nope. Well, here, sign this part that you're buying this part of the vehicle. Sign this document saying you're leasing this part of the vehicle. Sign this document because you're leasing this part of the vehicle. And you sign this document because you're leasing this. Can you see where this is going? So basically they're telling you, well, yeah, you can buy all the metal. Everything else, though, is leased. So then you just might as well lease the whole car. Because the car has no resale value whatsoever if all they're going to do is insist that you do not own the vehicle that you just bought. That's why a lot of electronics are pretty useless and worthless after they've been used, because it is very difficult to transfer ownership of all the different components. The software, the hardware, this, that, it's hard to do that. Ever notice when you try to go buy a new, there was a point in time when you went to buy a used computer, that Microsoft said it had to be wiped of its Windows operating system. And you could buy a used computer, but then you had to go and buy your own operating system. That's the way it worked. Which is why used computers never took off. I mean, plus the fact that they were just becoming outdated every time. They were obsolete. But even for the use of other functions where it wasn't obsolete, most of the time there was no operating system on it because it had to be wiped clean. Because the operating system, you didn't buy it, you leased it. And only you leased it. And so now they're taking this tact with your car. Well, you know what? If I'm only leasing this car, I'm not paying for any of the repairs. This is your vehicle. You take care of it. And that's the way I'd put it. That's the way I'd put it. Either you sell it to me or you're going to lease it. If I'm leasing it, it's like leasing a piece of property. I'm not responsible for the repairs. You are. You pay for them. And I think that's the way consumers are going to have to start going. Whatever happens to anything, if these companies are saying, well, because of our patent or our copyright, you really don't really own it, fine. Then you take care of it. I shouldn't have to bring this back and pay for repairs when it's yours to begin with. Because I don't own it. You just told me I don't own it. I'm leasing it. So if I'm leasing it, you take care of the repairs. They're kind of getting, away with having, both having their cake and eating it too. They want to rent something to you, lease it to you, but they don't want to have to be responsible for taking care of it. Unlike can you imagine real estate? Hey, yes, this apartment costs $1,500 a month. And by the way, you have to also take care of any repairs out of your own pocket. And you have to take care of the repairs. Because when you return it to me, it has to be in good working condition, as good or better than than the day that you first moved in. Nobody would do it. They would say, I'm not giving you $1,500 a month plus taking care of all the repairs. Are you crazy? I don't own this. So why would you do it for something else? Well, I don't know. I wouldn't. So you got to be careful out there when you're looking at stuff to buy, because you might not be buying it. You might be just inadvertently leasing it. I guess malls are out there closing left and right. And malls and retail outlets. Walmart is about to close some stores, right? But brick and mortar is basically losing big to internet sales. Stores are basically shuttering and malls are closing, and the retail sector, at least in brick and mortar form, is taking a downward spiral that is leaving untold numbers facing unemployment lines across the country. Now, of course, they can go to work for the online Joe, if you will. Now, according to some politically incorrect economic analyst whose message to America is very different from the rosier one being sent from the White House, and that characterizes the current trend in the bluntest of terms as retail apocalypse. Now, Michael Snyder, University of Florida Law School graduate, former Washington, D.C. attorney and publisher of Economic Collapse blog, wrote on the End of the American Dream blog, major retailers in the United States are shutting down hundreds of stores, and shoppers are reporting alarmingly bare shelves in many retail locations that are still open all over the country. He warned the 2015 retail lag was only worsening in 2016. In impoverished urban centers all over the nation, it's not uncommon to find entire malls that have now been completely abandoned. It has been estimated that there are about 1 billion square feet of retail space sitting empty in this country right now, and this crisis is only going to get worse as the retail apocalypse accelerates, as more and more people. Well, you got the Amazon thing, and Amazon is just taking up shelves. There's certain stuff. There isn't hardly anything that you can't buy online now. Unless it's made illegal by government regulation or law, just about everything is available to be purchased online. And most of that is available to be delivered directly to your door. Some of it for free shipping, some of it for a price, and sometimes that price can be hefty. But everything is available, just about everything is available to you online. You don't need to go to the mom and pop, you don't need to go to the brick and mortar shop anymore. Just saying. It's all. So we've got a transformation happening in our economy, and people have to understand this is not the first time that there's been, life-changing, life-altering transformations in our economy. Industrial Revolution was a huge disruption in the economy. It changed everything. Electronics in the 60s and 70s began to change everything. Computers in the 90s and early 2000s changed everything. The internet basically changed everything. So we've had all these wonderful bubbles, or changes, if you will, that have created these bubbles that some people just haven't been able to burst out of. And I'm telling you, you got like the sharing economy. This is something new, but it is disrupting everybody everywhere in just about every industry. You can't really get around or away from it. So you got to be able to understand that this is something that people have to understand, that this economy, this sharing economy, other types of parts of the economy, they're all changing for the better, changing for the worse. It doesn't really matter. You decide. But it is changing, and you're going to have to keep up with it. So are politicos and politicians. Trump is proving that, by the way. Cruz is helping to prove that, by the way. Anyway, we're out of time for today. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been the Rod Eccles Show. We will be back here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Have a wonderful day. I'm out.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just Call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Good morning. Welcome, all of you wonderful liberty lovers all across the globe, and you fantastic ecclesiastites. It is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio on this Friday, February the 19th, in the year of our Lord 2016. As the state that's motto says, live free or die, takes it seriously for the weekend. At least I do, anyway. That's why this is called Freedom Fridays. And on Freedom Fridays, what we do is have a little bit more fun. Yes, indeed, we definitely try to take things a little bit more lighter on a Friday as we get ready to slide on into the weekend. So we can enjoy our freedom, at least, what little freedom we have left. We can try to enjoy that as best we can, while our government seeks all kinds of ways to restrict that freedom in some way, some form, some fashion. Something that our government, our founders, would have been adamantly against. So I say, as you go out this weekend, raise a glass, or raise a pint, or raise a bottle, or raise a tea bag, or raise a cup, whatever, to freedom and your freedom. And if you're a teetotaler, that's a. Did you know that there's I was watching something last night here in New England. Now, I'm going to assume that this is true because I've seen it in Syracuse, New York as well. So I'm just going to assume it's a nationwide thing for this particular network. I think, is it ABC? I think it's ABC. But here in New Hampshire, we have something called, at 7 p.m. weeknight, something called New Hampshire Chronicle. And at 7:30, in Massachusetts, in Boston, the same affiliate, owned by different companies, obviously. Channel 9 is located in Manchester, New Hampshire, and Channel 5 is in Boston, Mass. But at 7:30, Channel 5 has their version of Chronicle. And I know that if I'm visiting my mother during a weekday in Syracuse, New York, their affiliate, I think it's ABC, also has a Chronicle. But I was watching Chronicle last night. It's a half-hour magazine. It's very family-friendly, family-orientated. And it just gives you information about stuff around your area, if you will, your region. And last night they were on the Boston Chronicle. They were highlighting a group of women that go out once a month as a group, as a club. Basically, it's a club. I don't know how you make a club out of this, but they have a club. Yeah, in the Boston area, and I guess it's a growing club. Or all these women meet at different locations or different bars every month, and drink whiskey. Yeah, now I can't remember. They're whiskey mamas, basically. So hold up a glass of whiskey if you're a whiskey mama. If you're a woman that likes whiskey, or if you're a guy that likes whiskey, or if you're, an LGBT, XYZ, PDQ who likes whiskey, hold up your whiskey glass and say, thank God that you live in America. For sure. 603-835-3224 is the number to call this morning if you so desire to be on the show and talk about just about anything that is on your mind. Just keep it clean, please. Yeah, it doesn't have to be about politics. Doesn't have to be about Trump or Cruz or any of the other candidates. Could be about your favorite hobby. Maybe you're a Walmart employee and you have some celebrating to do. Lucy, we got some celebrating to do. Because beginning tomorrow, Walmart raises the salaries of some 1 million Walmart workers. Yeah. So if you're a Walmart worker, you're most likely going to show up tomorrow and notice that you're making a little bit more per hour. Now, don't jump up and down for joy too much. Simply because, frankly, the federal government's going to get a good chunk of that. And if you live in a state that has an income tax, which is most states, I think there's, 45 states have an income tax? I think only 5 states don't have in income tax. We'll have to